Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh, everyone. Welcome back to another episode of the Islamic podcast. Recently, one of my commenters or viewers on my channel shared a video with me where supposedly a Hindu responded to one of my videos. So the video that she's responding to is basically, in the past I made a video criticizing Hinduism regarding the fact that Hinduism doesn't allow women to study the Vedas. The video is in Hindi. I'll translate it for you guys. I'm not really that good in terms of speaking, understanding Hindi. So if I make any mistake, please do correct me on that. So yeah, let's take a look and let's see what she says.
दिखाती हूँ जर्नल आपको इसमें ये बता रहा है कि अफगानिस्तान में जो स्थिति है तो मैं यहाँ से पढ़ती हूँ what is happening in Afghanistan currently in terms of female education is very complex. दिखाती हूँ ये देखिए मलाला यूसुफजई का पेज और इस पे आप जाएंगे तो ये अपने आप को बताती है कि ये खाली एक रेप का किस्सा नहीं है, यहाँ सिस्टमैटिक रेप होता है.
This is what you guys wanted me to respond to? Like seriously?
What the hell is this?
So basically, she is whining about, saying that, oh, look at the Taliban, look at what they're doing, look at what they did in the past, look at all this random madrasa somewhere where some sexual abuse happened or whatever. How is this relevant to my video? How does that refute the fact that Hinduism doesn't allow women to be educated? What does this has to do with anything? So basically, she is committing the red herring fallacy. She is basically changing the topic to make it seem like somehow she, by refuting this completely different topic, she's refuting my argument. But in reality, she's not refuting my argument, okay? So basically, if you watch my video in regards to how Hinduism doesn't allow women to be educated or at least get religious education, you will see that one of my main point was that a lot of these kind of like Hindu extremist kind of like news channels, what they will do is that they'll whine about Taliban, they'll Taliban this, Taliban that. And, they'll say that things like, oh, Taliban doesn't allow a woman to get an education. And that's bad. So my point of critique was that, well, if you have a problem with the Taliban for not allowing women to get an education, then you should also have a problem with Hinduism itself, because Hinduism itself also doesn't allow women to get educated. So I'm not like defending the Taliban, or like I'm not saying that the Muslim world is perfect or mothers are perfect and nothing bad ever happens in the Muslim world. That's not my position. And another thing is that she says that about Taliban is also not true, because Taliban is allowing girls to go to schools now. Maybe in the past they didn't, but they are doing it now. So for example, there was a journal or article by Wall Street Journal where they show going to many of these schools where they show pictures of girls actually going to school. So yes, just a completely irrelevant point. But anyway, let's continue.
इसने बताया अग्नि पुराण. हाँ, सबसे पहले तो इसने ये भी कहा कि जो है वो इंडिया में जो है वो नहीं देते एजुकेशन. तो इसके लिए मैं आपको एक दिखाती हूँ डॉक्यूमेंट. ये है हिस्ट्री का ब्रह्म. मैं आपको इसका कवर बाद में दिखाऊंगी. पहले मैं इस पेज पे आ गई हूँ तो मैं ये पेज दिखा देती हूँ आपको कि in the Bobila Granth it is said, leading forward towards the sacred fire from the house, the bride who is wrapped in a robe and wears the sacred thread slung from her left shoulder in the Yagnopavit mode, he the husband should murmur the word Soma gave her to Gandharva. It is clear that the girl, according to Bobila, wore the Yajnopavit as a symbol of the rite of Upanayan. The commentator to whom this procedure naturally seemed strange explains Yajnopavitanam as meaning whose upper garment is worn in the fashion of the sacred thread. In the Samskara Tattva of Raghunandana, it is stated that Hari Sharma held that according to Bobila, the bride was to wear a Yajnopavit. तो जब वेदों का पढ़ते हैं तो एक रिचुअल सेरेमनी होती है जो थ्रेड सेरेमनी होती है, उपनयन सेरेमनी कही जाती है उसको. उसमें यज्ञोपवीत एक धागा होता है जो लेफ्ट शोल्डर से बांधा जाता है. इसके बारे में डिटेल जो है मैंने बनाया है एक वीडियो जो आप देख सकते हैं विमेन एंड द वेदास मेरे चैनल पे. तो उसमें आपको ये मिल जाएगा. और इसमें जो है ये कह रहे हैं कि जो नववधू है वो रोब पहनती है और ये यज्ञोपवीत धागा पहनती है. तो वो क्यों पहनेगी? क्योंकि वो वेद पढ़ने वाली है. क्योंकि वेद जो है वो पढ़ने से पहले ये एक रिचुअल किया जाता है. उन सब बालकों को यज्ञोपवीत बनाया जाता है. और इससे पहले जो
Again, she's quoting so basically she's quoting like some random historian somewhere who said that apparently in the past like women used to wear like a thread, and because of that somehow that proves that women would get education. No, no, that doesn't prove anything. First of all, who the heck is this guy anyway? So let's take a look at who actually wrote this book, History of Dharmashastra. It is by this guy called Pandurang Vaman Kane, who's MA LLM, and he's like an advocate of High Court of Bombay. So why are you quoting an advocate from like some high court in India?
That doesn't make sense.
Like if you're going to quote someone, quote Hindu scholars who actually knows what they're talking about, people who actually studied Vedas, people, Swamis, or like people, religious scholars. Because the thing is that in my video I quoted Hindu scholars saying explicitly that women are not allowed to get a Vedic education, right? So basically she's committing the appeal to false authority fallacy. First of all, like, who is this guy that like she's quoting? This is like a random nobody. So, in case you guys don't know, appeal to false authority is when you're appealing to an authority who's not really an authority on the subject. Let me quote another verse from Devi Bhagavatam. Veda Vaishya is no other person than Vishnu himself. He, in the form of Veda Vaishya, divided the one Veda into 4 parts. In every Dvapara yoga for the good of the world. The Brahmanas of the Kali age are short-lived and their intellect, buddhi, is not sharp. They cannot realize the meaning after studying the Vedas. Knowing this, in every Dvapara yoga Bhagavan expounds the holy Purana Samhitas. The more so because women, Shudra and lower Divijas are not entitled to hear Vedas. For their own good, the Puranas have been composed. You can read about this in Devi Bhagavatam 1:3:18 to 24. So here it is clearly saying that a woman and Shudras cannot hear or read or hear the Vedas. So how much clear does it need to be get? How much more clear can it be? And do you think like this random historian knows better than the rishis who wrote Devi Bhagavatam? I don't think so.
तो वो है, इसने कहा कि मत्स्य पुराण में 154.156 से 171 तक कि वुमेन जो है उनको वेद नहीं पढ़ने देते थे, तो इसके बारे में लिखा है मत्स्य पुराण में. तो ये मेरे पास ऑलरेडी मौजूद है, तो 154 का 156. तो मत्स्य पुराण में हम चलते हैं मत्स्य पुराण में 154 154 का 156. तो ये 154 है, 154 ये लिखा है ऊपर, और इसका 156 ये है. 156 जहाँ से है, 156 से 171 तक. तो अब आप ये देखिए 71 लिखा है, 171 नहीं लिखा उसने, तो पता नहीं ऐसे क्यों लिखा है, तो कोई गलती होगी उसमें. तो 154 से हम पढ़ना आरंभ करते हैं, 156 से, सॉरी. तो इसमें ये लिखा है कि उनमें गृहस्थ धर्म का सुचारू रूप से पालन न करने वाले मानवों को पुत्र की प्राप्ति नहीं होती. इन आश्रमों की प्राप्ति उसी कर्ता की व्यवस्था से जिसने संसार की वृद्धि की है, क्रमशः ब्रह्मचर्य व्रत के बाद होती है. यदि सभी प्राणी आश्रम धर्म का त्याग कर दें तो संसार की वृद्धि कैसे हो सकती है? इसलिए सृष्टिकर्ता ने शास्त्रों में नरक से त्राण करने का लोभ दिखाकर प्राणियों को मोहित करने के लिए पुत्र प्राप्ति की प्रशंसा की है. परंतु प्राणियों की सृष्टि स्त्री के बिना नहीं हो सकती. वह स्त्री जाति स्वभाव से ही दयनीय और दीनता पूर्वक बोलने वाली होती है. इसलिए ब्रह्मा ने इन स्त्रियों को शस्त्रालोचन की शक्ति नहीं दी है, और वो वहां से नहीं जाती थी. इसलिए जो है उनके लिए इसलिए ब्रह्मा ने उन स्त्रियों को शस्त्रालोचन की शक्ति नहीं दी है. इसलिए ब्रह्मा ने उन स्त्रियों को शस्त्रालोचन की शक्ति नहीं दी है. इसलिए ब्रह्मा ने उन स्त्रियों को शस्त्रालोचन की शक्ति नहीं दी है.
So basically she agrees with me. So it's basically what she's reading is basically like a commentary on the verse in Matsya Purana. And basically the commentator, he's saying that Brahma didn't give women the ability to produce shastras or religious books, right? So yeah, he's basically saying that a woman cannot get a religious education, a Vedic education. That's the whole point. That's what I'm saying. So yeah, she basically refutes herself. She refutes her whole video. Now the thing is that later on, I think she makes this stupid point, like although they are not allowed to get like a Vedic education in an institution, they can still learn at home or whatever. But there's no evidence for this, right? I mean, like the verses are clearly saying that they're not supposed to read it. They're not supposed to learn it.
भागवतम का 1.4.25, श्रीमद् भागवतम 1.4.25 और आप मैच कर सकते हैं. तो नहीं सॉरी 1.4.25 ये है श्रीमद् भागवतम 1.4.25. तो इसमें वो कहता है स्त्री, तो ये श्लोक है, उसका मैं पूरा श्लोक नहीं पढ़ूंगी, और इसमें उसका ट्रांसलेशन दिया है. आउट ऑफ कंपैशन द ग्रेट सेज थॉट इट वाइज दैट दिस वुड इनेबल मेन टू अचीव द अल्टीमेट गोल ऑफ लाइफ. दस ही कंपाइल्ड द ग्रेट हिस्टोरिकल नरेशन कॉल्ड द महाभारत फॉर वुमेन लेबरर्स एंड फ्रेंड्स ऑफ द ट्वाइस बॉर्न. तो इसमें वो कह रहा है कि बहुत बड़ी दयालुता से जो ऋषि था, जो सेज था, उसने जो है ऐसा महर्षि ने एक ग्रंथ लिखा महाभारत, ताकि उसे स्त्रियां और जो शूद्र हैं और जो फ्रेंड्स ऑफ द ट्वाइस बॉर्न हैं वो पढ़ सकें.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. So basically, again, she reads Srimad Bhagavatam, and basically Srimad Bhagavatam is saying the exact same thing that I said. Yeah, if you read the previous verses in Srimad Bhagavatam from 1.4.22 to 1.4.25, this is the entire picture that we get, and this is what it says, right? The Sumunto Muni, Angira, who was very devotedly engaged, was entrusted with the Arthava Veda, and my father, Ramarashana, was entrusted with the Puranas and historical records. All these learned scholars, in their turn, rendered their entrusted Vedas into their many disciples, grand disciples and great-grand disciples, and thus the respective branches of the followers of the Vedas came into being. Thus the great sage Vaisadeva, who is very kind to ignorant masses, edited the Vedas so they might be assimilated by less intellectual man. Out of compassion, the great sage thought it wise that this would enable man to achieve the ultimate goal of life. Thus, he compiled the great historical narration called the Mahabharata for women, laborers and friends of the twice born. You can read about this in Srimad Bhagavatam 1:4 from 22 to 25. So yeah, so here the scholars, the rishis, they're clearly saying that first they compiled the Vedas, and then they taught their students, and they taught their students, and then for the lesser intellectual man, or like lower caste people, or lower caste people and women, they wrote Mahabharatas and Puranas, right? And that's what I've been saying. And this makes it absolutely clear. I mean, if this was really the case that women can study the Vedas, then why would they separately mention that Mahabharatas is for women and laborers? That doesn't make any sense. This clearly shows that they're not supposed to study the Vedas. Like, it's like literally like repeating over and over again. So again, like, which part of this is not clear?
Then in the commentary of Srimad Bhagavatam 1.4.25 it says,
Less intellectual classes of men, namely women, Shudras, and unqualified sons of the higher caste, are devoid of necessary qualification to understand the purpose of the transcendental Vedas. For them, Mahabharata was prepared. So yeah, so basically it's saying that women are basically unqualified and devoid of necessary qualification to understand the Vedas. Or like they're not capable of learning, right? That's literally what it's saying. This is not me saying this, is your rishis are saying this.
जो कि है तो 1.4.25 हो गया. अब नेक्स्ट वाला उसने बताया देवी भागवतम 1.3.18 to 24. तो 1.3.18 तो ये है. तो इसमें ये कह रहा है कि in the 14th incarnation the Lord appeared as Narasimha and bifurcated the strong body of the atheist Hiranyakashipu with his nails just as the carpenter pierces skin. तो वो कहता है कि 14th incarnation में जो ईश्वर थे, जो नरसिंह भगवान के रूप में आए, मतलब.
So did you guys notice this? So basically she's quoting like she's supposed to quote Devi Bhagavatam, right? But on the screen she actually reads Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, did she thought that like no one would notice this? Like, what the heck? I mean, as a matter of fact, if you go back to her like screen or screenshot, here you can clearly see that the quotation she wrote down is Devi Bhagavatam, and yet then later on she starts reading Srimad Bhagavatam, because this is a verse from Srimad Bhagavatam. I know this because I went to this website many times. This is Srimad Bhagavatam. Now, I'm gonna give her the benefit of doubt. Maybe she just like on the heat of the moment made a mistake. But I find that very hard to believe. How can you not know that this is like a page for the Srimad Bhagavatam? This is bizarre. But anyway, so let's read what like the Devi Bhagavatam actually says. And this is what it says. And again, if you guys want to read this yourself, go to the pinned comment and go to the link and read it for yourself, right? And you'll see this. So, for example, it says,
the more so because women, as Sudras, and the lower Divijas are not entitled to hear the Vedas. For their good, the Puranas have been composed.
So yeah, I don't know what, I'm guessing that, so basically she's doing like a straw man, like she's misrepresenting what I quoted and quote something completely else and act as if like that's the what I quoted, when in reality I didn't quote that. So I don't know whether she's lying or like it's just a mistake, but regardless, let's continue.
1.3.13 लिया. तो प्रभुपाद का जो लेक्चर है उसका जो 1.3.13 है, यहाँ से आप देख सकते हैं, उसका ये है मतलब. तो उसमें ये लिखा है कि the 8th incarnation was King Rishabh, the son of King Navi and his wife Meru Devi. In this incarnation the Lord showed the path of perfection which is followed by those who have fully controlled their senses and who are honored by all orders of life. तो 8th incarnation में King Rishabh जो थे, जो 8th incarnation था प्रभु का, वो था King Rishabh, जो King Navi के बेटे थे और मेरू देवी के. In his incarnation Lord ने path of perfection दिखाया और उनके बारे में दिखाया जो कैसे अपनी इंद्रियों को वश में करते हैं. इंद्रियों वश में मतलब कि आप जो कानों से और आंखों से पाप न करें, यानी पोर्नोग्राफिक जो है ना देखें, कानों से अश्लील गाने ना सुने और मुंह से दूसरों को ऐसे एनिमल्स को न खाएं जिनके इमोशंस होते हैं. तो इस तरह आप अपनी सारी इंद्रियों को वश में करें और सेक्स वगैरह सब कुछ सारे अपने डिजायर्स जो है अपने कंट्रोल में रखें. वो ऐसे लोग जो है ऑनर्ड होते हैं सारे ऑर्डर्स ऑफ लाइफ में. तो इसमें भी हमने कोई ये जो भी इस्लामिक कॉलिंग ने कोट किए हैं ये सब कुछ गलत हैं, पता नहीं कहां से किए. मैंने तो ये एक्चुअली.
So basically what in the video what I did was that I quoted a big religious Hindu religious scholar named Shami Prabhupada, and he basically says that women cannot go to school or get an education, right? And that's what I quoted. And she's basically just showing like the top part of the like lecture and completely ignoring the rest of it, especially ignoring the part that I quoted. For example, if you go to underneath and if you type this, and you will see this is what he said, and I'll play the clip or the audio clip of him actually saying this. So here, listen to this.
So, dealing with women, especially instruction are given to man. all literatures, all Vedic literature, they are especially meant for instruction to the man. Woman is to follow the husband, that's all. The husband will give instruction to the wife. There is no such thing as the girl should go to school to take the brahmachari ashram or go to spiritual master to take instruction. That is not Vedic system. Vedic system is the man is fully instructed and woman, girl must be married to a man. Even the man may have many wives. Polygamy, still. Every woman should be married and she would get instruction from the husband. This is Vedic system. Woman is not allowed to go to school, college or to the spiritual master.
So yeah, she's clearly lying. She knows that this is what he said.
ये वाला है तो ये है 9.32 ये देखिए भगवद गीता चैप्टर 9 वर्स 32 ठीक है तो इसमें ये कह रहा है माम ही पात व्यापाश्रित्य येपि स्यु पापयोनः स्त्रियो वैश्यास्था शूद्रास्तेपि यान्ति पराम गतिम् तो इसका मतलब ये है कि all those who take refuge in me whatever their birth race sex or caste even those whom society scorns will attain the supreme destination तो ये बता रहे हैं ये भगवद गीता जो थी वो कब कही थी जब कृष्ण जो थे वो सारथी थे अर्जुन के और अर्जुन युद्ध नहीं कर रहा था और श्री कृष्ण ने उनको गीता का उपदेश दिया युद्ध भूमि में तो उस समय उन्होंने उसे अपना सुप्रीम अवतार जो रूप दिखाया और ये सब मैं आपको कॉन्टेक्स्ट बता रही हूँ आप उसमें से चेक कर सकते हैं और इस वर्ष में ये कहा गया है कि श्री कृष्ण जो कि ईश्वर हैं का अवतार हैं वो कहते हैं ऑल दोस हु टेक रिफ्यूज इन मी मतलब जो भी मेरी शरण में आएगा व्हाटएवर देयर बर्थ रेस सेक्स और कास्ट चाहे उनका जन्म कैसा भी हो उनकी कोई भी रेस हो उनकी कोई भी जेंडर सेक्स हो या फिर कोई भी जाति हो इवन दोस हुम सोसाइटी स्कॉन्स और जिन पे लोग मजाक उड़ाते हो या उन्हें ऐसी दृष्टि से देखते हो हे दृष्टि से देखते हो तो वो सब अगर मेरी शरण में आए तो उनको सुप्रीम डेस्टिनेशन मिलेगा मतलब वो स्वर्ग की प्राप्ति करेंगे तो
Yeah, she's misquoting me again. This is not what I said. So she's strawmanning me again. So basically, in my very video, I basically quoted Gita 9:23, but what I quoted was basically a commentary on Gita 9:32, right? And basically, the commentary was by Shami Shoropanda, right? And if you read the commentary, you will see that the Swami clearly says that women cannot study the Vedas. For example, it says in Bhagavad Gita 9:32, it says, "For taking refuge in me, they also, O son of Pritha, who might be of inferior birth, women, Vaishyas, as well as Shudras, even they attain to the supreme goal." You can read about this in Bhagavad Gita 9:32. Commentary by Swami Shoropanda. By the way, Swami Shoropanda is basically the student of Swami Vivekananda. And so we're not talking about some random nobody. This is a very highly educated scholar in Hinduism, and this is what he says: of inferior birth, Shudras, because by birth, and by the way, listen to this. He's saying by birth, by Shudras, because by birth the Vaishyas are engaged only in agriculture, etc., and the women and Shudras are debarred from the study of the Vedas. So, like, which part of this is not clear?
तो ये भी हमने देख लिया और प्रेजेंटर ने कहा कि हिंदू अपॉलोजेटिक्स जो है वो दिखाते हैं कि विमेन जो है देखो वेद पढ़ रही हैं तो और कैसे दिखाएंगे हम तीन तरह से इसको बता सकते हैं हमने आपको ग्रंथ दिखाया जिसमें लिखा है कि विमेन को पढ़ाना चाहिए वेद
Yeah, so basically she's repeating the same argument that I already refuted in the video, which is that so basically what Hindu apologetics do is that they basically try to take a lot of characters in the Vedas and they are reciting the Vedic chants and they said, look, these women are reciting Vedic chants. That must mean we should also be able to recite Vedic chants. The point here is that just because women in the Vedic age did certain thing doesn't necessarily mean it is permissible for you to do it. Okay? Right. So basically it's like a faulty comparison fallacy. Scholars have made it clear that when in the Vedas it is describing women reading the Vedas, these are special women. These are not average lay women. Okay. For example, there's one very major big scholar named Madhvacharya, who was a 11th century Hindu scholar. He's a household name. He was a very big scholar. So Madhvacharya was a critic of Adi Shankar's Adanta Vedanta. Yeah. So basically, this guy was a very renowned, influential Hindu religious scholar. He basically criticized the Buddhist philosophy and he had his own philosophy regarding self and like dualism and non-dualism. So basically, Madhvacharya, he was almost like a founder of a creedal school of thought in Hinduism. That's how important this guy is. So let me quote Madhvacharya, just so you guys understand what is the proper position in regards to women reading the Vedas is. And this is what he says.
The Lord, while women Sudras and vile Brahmins are allowed to obtain knowledge from Tantra works, meaning scriptures other than Vedas, explained in part by others but not regular studies of such works.
Those are the first three castes who are sincerely devoted to the Lord Hari, the Purifier, are fit to acquire knowledge as given in the Vedic text.
Now there is one thing I want to add here. It seems like Madhvacharya believed some lower caste who are religious can also be initiated to join and learn from a Vedic scholar. I disagree with this because if you look at the verses of the Puranas in Srimad Bhagavatam, the earlier rishis clearly did not allow this. However, even if I were to agree to this, it is still inhuman, unfair, and unjust. Because who are the people that are deciding which of the lower caste can join their institution? It's the Brahmins, so they still have an unfair social monopoly over people of other caste. By what right do these Brahmins get to decide the fate of other castes? Why is it that these lower caste people need to get their approval to study their own religious texts? In Islam, it doesn't matter whether you are from Africa or China, you can open our holy book and read it. Religious or not, you can go to our scholars and learn. This is why I say if you are a Hindu and belong to a lower caste, you should leave Hinduism and become a Muslim. If a God does exist, then there is no way he would create such an evil system like this. Leave Hinduism and let the Brahmin Pandit rot in their own evil system they created for themselves. The same offer goes to open-minded Brahmins as well. It is better to be a fellow brother to the Muslims in Islam than a slave to the Brahmins in Hinduism.
And the women of the celestial order are also eligible for the study of scripture, and they are Urvasi, Yami, the wife of Yama, Sachi, and other goddesses, and also wives of rishis. You can read about this in Madhvacharya, Brahma Sutra, Pada 1.1, and I will give you guys a link in the comment below. You can check it out. So basically what Madhvacharya is saying is that yes, some women are allowed to study the Vedas, but these are special women, and these are goddesses. These are goddesses or wives of rishis, but this makes it clear that women cannot read the Vedas. Only some women can. Okay, if you're like a wife of a rishi or like something. Next time, thank you guys for watching, and if you guys like the video, like, share, subscribe. Inshallah, I'll see you guys next time. If you guys want to support me, you can support me on Patreon, or you can become a member on YouTube. So yeah, with this I want to end this video. Thank you guys for watching. Assalamu alaikum.